Ugh.
And Tesla sales are dropping, I think 3 quarters in a row. Why? Are people not liking EVs? Are people not liking Elon? Are people not, or competitors?
Well, American buyers are absolutely hating EVs. There's a ton of evidence to support that. Although the rental car fleets just re-upped on them, so I think they got exceptional deals on them. But Tesla keeps slashing prices to qualify for different incentives, and that's causing just unfathomable depreciation, like 4 to 5% a month at times. Which in the aggregate, cars depreciate about 1% a month, and so it is a huge problem. A couple of months ago, actually, I got an Audi RS e-tron GT, which is essentially the Audi version of a Taycan Turbo S. And I am not an electric car guy at all, but a friend of mine runs Audi Birmingham, and he called me. He was like, he's really proud of himself because he had worked out this deal to lease these cars for a year, effectively for free, because Audi Financial Services is a different department or a different company really than Audi Corporate. And so Audi Corporate puts these incentives on the cars, and Audi Financial puts the residuals on the leases. And the 1 year residual on the lease was higher than the purchase price, which is effectively creates a free lease. And so it's just like interest and taxes. And so I leased a $160,000 car for $250 a month. And the problem is that is probably they had about 150 of these in nationwide inventory when it began, and they sold them all, which is probably going to be, a $6 to $7 million mistake that Audi Financial will have made when they own these cars a year from now. And those are the kind of things that just kill them. I mean, that's a crippling blow to some of these financial institutions. And so, yeah, Teslas are down, Lucid's abysmal, Rivian's doing okay, but it's
my friend loves his Rivian.
Yeah, I mean, they've got great customer satisfaction. Tesla just recalled every Cybertruck, but go ahead, Kyle.
What's the price tag on a Rivian?
It started like 80, 90.
Yeah.
And then go up to like $130, maybe.
I happened to look last night, not only last night, but a few weeks prior, to see what Cybertrucks were going for used. I was like, because I felt like that would be very telling if you can get one used for 80, 140, 150, shit like that in the Atlanta area.
Well, but that's still very new. So when they first came out, a couple of them traded for 200, 240,
Woo!
Which was a massive overage. And they were actually being bought by Ford to reverse engineer and see what they needed to do. So Ford bought a dozen of them or something like that. And sometimes that's all it takes to really change the perceived value. There are not a lot of transactions happening in the 140, 50, 60 zone. Okay. And so they're going down very fast because these record prices were less than 2 months ago. Yeah. And so they haven't been delivering them long. They got huge quality issues and stuff like that. So it's really been problematic. And now that the incentives from a tax perspective only apply to American-built cars, the German stuff doesn't. So they're relaxing a lot of these standards about when all their cars have to be EV or a percentage or whatever, because it's just not feasible.
I can see why the rental car market, because I would love, if you offered me a rental EV, I think it's the one I'd pick, because I just want to play around with it without committing.
Well, the problem with playing around with it is that you can get stuck somewhere, and you open up yourself to some exposure, especially like, I was out in Vegas the other day, and you could rent an electric car for a third of what you could rent a gasoline powered car. But I had to go from Vegas to Southern Utah, and I was like, well, I don't know what the charging network's going to be. I'm staying at a hotel that inevitably will not have a charger, and I'm going to have to, solve problems associated with having this car. If I was just tooling around the strip, by all means, that makes a lot of sense. And so, Tesla's stock is dropping. They keep saying that the cyber taxi idea is going to be the salvation of the whole, brand. But man, I was, one of my detail guys they just gave out like free self-driving for a month if you have a car that has the cameras that make it capable, to try to make you subscribe to it. And it's either $100 a month or a $12,000 flat fee to get the self. Oh, is it 8 now?
They lowered it by $4,000, which, like, if you bought it already, you feel ripped off. But right.
Well, they don't care if you bought it already, very clearly, because when you reduce the price of a Model S by $30,000, the trickle down depreciation is just horrific. And Tesla has always had such a devoted fan base because they've always been far ahead in terms of a lot of the technology that they're doing, and so it's been justified. But when they keep getting kicked over and over again, it's really hard to stay that positive on it, especially since the long-term residual values are so terrible.
Yeah, every other car, I feel like repeat buyers are a big part of the business model.
Oh,
and
huge.
Tesla, I can imagine anyone who, even if you like an EV, you look at the other ones to see if it's greener over there.
Oh, of course.
If I were buying one, let's say my price tag is in that $80,000 to $90,000 range, which is kind of where the mid-range of most of the electrics, it seems, I would want the Tesla. I would want the Tesla. I would. Just because the others don't seem... All right, look, they had the issue with the accelerator plate. Man, they got right to it. They got it fixed. Yeah. I know they just shot a fucking pot rivet in it, but it's fixed. I'd be like, no, thank you. I'm gonna use some like glue.
Hot glue gun.
I don't want a pot rivet in my accelerator pedal. Maybe I'll just get a full aluminum accelerator setup, even because I'm already $100,000 into a goddamn truck that can't do truck stuff. So like, it's just for looks anyway. That's why I like it. I do like the Cybertruck. Like Woody, I wouldn't care for how much attention you're going to get if you're in one. Like, it's not just like riding around in a nice Corvette or even a Lambo. Like, this thing is huge and tall and wide. Everybody sees you on the block. You could sneak by in a sports car. Nobody knows. You see that Porsche? No, of course you didn't. It can hide behind all the other cars.
Right. I'm curious where you stand on this. Like, to me, a disadvantage of make it like a Ferrari F40 or something.
Sure.
Is that every time I pull up anywhere, I'm getting attention. Does that bother you, or do you like it? Because some people love it.
I don't love it. I don't buy them for that reason. And fortunately, in large cities, it is a lot less of a factor than it was 10 years ago. The volume of production in interesting and weird looking cars is so much higher now than it was a fairly short time ago that it is wildly different. I had a lime green Lamborghini for a while, and that was a very different experience. And I've had every color of them, than an orange one, red one, yellow one, anything. That one, I mean, people would crash taking pictures of it. And so it was a lot more challenging on a daily basis for that reason. But I would say that I mean, it's not that big of a deal in most markets today. If you drive into a small town, you kind of get that reaction, which is, it's fun, once or twice, but it is a bit of a downside if it was all the time wherever you lived.
Whenever we've been driving, like usually classical cars, like a 55 Chevrolet or something, and you go to a gas station and people would want to look, it's fun to pop the hood and show them like, look what I did, because you built the thing, especially. It's like, look at the interior. I did that. So I've never minded that, but I can imagine if people try to race me in my fucking Camaro. Some douchebag at the red light the other night wanted to race. And it's like, I could do the math. You're going to win. Look at that. Like, what are we racing for? It's not like
pink slip.
Do you think I got a sleeper over here? Like do the fucking math, asshole. You got a supercharger. But so I can imagine like anytime you're in a sports car, you're going to get that a little bit, but that Tesla truck is going to really, I like how it looks. I know it's ugly, but what I would do is I would wrap it in a dark hunter green, like the halo color, like that's on the Warthog. And I would like that. And I would, tint the windows out and everything. But man,
it's got worse graphics than the Halo 1 Warthog.
Yeah, it looks like Laura Croft with the square titties.
Yeah.
Remember when the Laura Croft with the square titties?
Yeah.
It's that era.
They're not aesthetically pleasing.
But every video I see about it, and maybe it's propaganda, it's like, look, the patina on every body piece is different. Like, this, I mean, only one of those would be kind of fun too. The patina on every body piece is different. Right. I don't care that it will absolutely cut your fingers off if you have your your hand in the lift gate back there. That didn't bother me. But
is that not software? Maybe there's, I don't know.
It is, yeah, because I saw a comparison where they took 5 other things with hatches similar-ish, Volvos, maybe a Acura, this and that, and they had a carrot and maybe a cucumber. And yeah, it's like everybody else.
Why both?
Well, because if you they have them next to each other, and the cucumber is more sturdy than a carrot, so the carrot goes first, and if it pops that, then it goes to the cucumber. If it's popping the carrot and the cucumber before the software says stop, then that means you're going to lose something. Like I don't know, maybe a big heavy man finger could take it, but a lady is losing her fingers. You ever look at your girl's hand and think, I could bite every one of those fingers off like a chimp if I wanted to, bitch?
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I
Like
warn her.
chimp.
When she gets out of line or tries to touch the remote, I'll remind her.
Oh yeah, you turned into that chimp that remember that chimp got all that bad press and everyone was like, this chimp just lost its mind out of nowhere and attacked this lady, and then it came out way later that
the chimp tried to touch the remote control.
Yeah, that the chimp was the victim. Yeah, the chimp wasn't the victim really, but they were like plying the chimp with tons of Valiums and wine and like fucking it up, and then after all that, you probably like wanted its Valium. You can't just get a chimp addicted to Valium. It doesn't understand that Valium isn't always on the way.
I think that one lady was fucking that chimp, and then her friend came over, and that chimp saw that other lady as a potential sexual
Is this
threat.
theory based in anything or just a wild Kyleism?
I think when you got a single white lady with a monkey in her house that she's given wine and Valium, you don't have to be.
What do you think Jane Goodall was up to out there? You can learn everything you need to know about chimps in like
she was going to create the missing link.
Yeah, 30 days, like real quick.
Don't put that on Jane Goodall. That was a wonderful woman. You ever see her that movie Gorillas in the Mist with Sigourney Weaver?
No.
You should.
I skipped that one.
I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to watch Gorillas in the Mist.
Made me fucking cry.
I love those sad monkey movies.
I wish they'd leave those fucking gorillas alone.
I don't think she was fucking that monkey because a chimp would be a.
No, they look pretty cozy.
They'd be a bad fuck. They have tiny little penises and.
Pretty sure.
And they probably don't smell good.
You don't know. For all you know.
Catching strays over here. Listen, tiny penises and bad odors are not a big problem. You can still live a happy life.
Would you go so far as to say that's an alpha male?
For one of your sponsors. Yeah, you guys have a sponsor to solve that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Right. Kyle and I are in the lab coming up with ways to make us.
Is your sex monkey enraged?